Welcome back, everyone, to the Creators Spotlight here on the Spotlight. I'm still Jeremy Lambert. That's still Steven Jensen. And with us today in the Creators Spotlight, a man who's made multiple appearances on In the Weeds, making a Spotlight debut, the executive producer, IWS Hardcore. They got their big anniversary show this weekend. Big documentary coming out very soon that starts filming or continues to film this week. He is Andrew. He is Shayne Hawke. How you
Hello.
doing, buddy?
I am well. I'm pumped. I am pumped. Like everything that you just said, it's like a dream come true. And man, it's good to be Andrew right now. It's a good day to be Andrew. I'm gonna say.
Well,
How are you guys? How are you doing? What's up, guys?
Doing
Nice to see
good.
you.
Oh, we were chatting a little bit off air.
Yeah.
I was chauffeuring a bunch of kids around today. We have 12 kids, for those that don't know. That's the kayfabe number.
You're like Daddy Dudley. Like you. Just
Yeah, basically. You seem cheaper by the dozen. That's
Yeah.
basically how this whole household is. It's just cheaper by the dozen.
Nice.
I'm Steve Martin, so.
Nice to meet you, Steve Martin.
Before we get into it, and I started asking questions about your cat. Just how you doing? How you doing mentally? How you doing physically, buddy?
Man, I am tired. I'll tell you that much. I'm exhausted. I wish there were more hours in the day, but it's a good tired. It's a lot of hard work for something that I'm seeing payoff for. It's like the good kind of stress. I'm just so excited all the time. I just can't shut my brain off, which is probably a problem. Like I probably should see my therapist about it, but for now it's working. Let's go. Physically, listen, I'm on some new meds right now. They're kind of giving me a brain fog, but they're helping with the pain, so that's really cool. I refuse to do opiates. Like the government tried to give me, like doctors tried to give me opiates, and I just didn't want to do them because wrestlers and opiates, it's not a good idea. But it's just like anti-inflammatory. It's super cool or whatever. And then March 5th, I'm getting those cortisone injections, and then we'll see from there.
So hopefully the cortisone injections go well. Is there any type of plan when it comes to training, potential return?
Man, I know I've got one left in me. I don't know if I'm coming back full time anytime soon, but I know I've got like one final story to tell. I've got that. Man, I'm 35. I'm gonna be 36, and like that doesn't sound very old, but I've been wrestling for 20 years. Like I'm beat up, and breaking my back twice at this point is like, maybe I just let other people do the play fighting now, and I just help them get better at it. You know what I mean? Because shit's not fun.
With your role at IWS being the executive producer and also one of the trainers as well, so they got this big documentary that's being worked on. I know there's
documentary.
What's that?
Huge documentary.
Yeah. So we talked to Matt Viviani. We talked to Matt Viviani on Monday, and he said they've done a little bit of filming so far. Maybe he wasn't supposed to say that, but he said they've done a little bit. But they're doing a lot of filming behind the scenes for this weekend and the anniversary event.
So they're coming down on Friday. They're gonna follow us with film crews, and then Saturday they'll be at the show the whole time. Camera crew with me, camera crew with Manny. And then Sunday, we got some interviews going down. We got some archival footage that we're going to get to them. This documentary is huge. Like the people who have made these, like the Generation Iron documentaries, are sick. Like they make me care about bodybuilding, and I'm a nerd, but I love them. Like they were fantastic. So when these people approached us, it was like it almost didn't feel real. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like me really, but man, they've been super nice and super accommodating, and I'm really excited to meet their crew, and I'm really excited to make some magic together because I really think that the 25-year history of the IWS is a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially in like documentary form, like y'all got some real characters in that territory. I mean,
you was putting it lightly, as some real characters in that territory.
Yeah, I mean, like we had PCP Manny on a while back, a legend. And then I mean, just like even guys that in just like the main event alone in this upcoming show.
Ultimate Death.
Yeah,
you gotta say it that way.
Yes. Yeah. Ultimate Death.
Ultimate Death. Yeah, it has to be like that. It's not.
I mean, you guys like Sexy Eddie and stuff. I mean, like just people that just would be. Yeah, I mean, so if you could, I mean, that's going to make for a very, very even if you're a wrestling fan, I think you'd just be entertained by the characters involved.
Man, I'm excited to see the Sexy Eddie Effie interaction. I'm very excited to see it. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm very excited to see it. I also feel like nobody really does like high quality death matches like IWS. And here's what I mean by that. I'm not saying that other people around the world are not good at death match or anything like that, but like Manny is jacked. Phantom is jacked. Sexy Eddie like runs marathons. Like these guys are in amazing shape. They're all gimmick. They all have characters. They can all wrestle, and they're doing deathmatch shit. Like nobody puts these matches together like these guys. And I'm not a deathmatch guy. I'm not, which is ironic based on my position in IWS hardcore. But it's like not really my thing. But like I love watching these matches. They just like have these amazing, just crazily unique ideas that like every one of them is special. It's so cool. So cool. Sorry, I should let somebody else talk. Go ahead.
No, when we talk,
we love that.
Yeah, when we talk to Manny, you make our job easier when you talk. When we talk to Manny, he mentioned that of just like there's a right way and kind of a wrong way to do a death match. And when he does it, he wants to make sure it's not just, hey, let's go out there and fall through tables and hit people with light tubes for no reason. Like there is an actual art to deathmatch. I've said it many times. I'm not a deathmatch person. It's not something that I can watch a full show of. If there's like one on a card, all right, cool, I'm there. Yep. But there is definitely like a right way and a wrong way to do it. I think GCW balances pretty well. Absolutely. And IWS does it very well too. And just like
in Canada, where else are you going to find it? In Canada, where else are you going to find it? The entire country. It's a big ass country. Where are you going to find it? You're not going to find it. No, you're not. It's like that.
You can just tell that certainly Manny puts a lot of care into the deathmatch style, whether it's him or whether it's anybody else competing.
Green Phantom does too, and Sexy Eddie does too, and Mathieu Saint-Jacques, who is criminally underrated, is one of the best wrestling minds to come into the Quebec territory in like a generation. Like he's so good, and if people have a chance to have seen his run as C4 champion, I think you can still see that on IWTV where he like faced a bunch of Americans, like criminally underrated. People who don't know who Mathieu Saint-Jacques is and they know Canadian wrestling should go to jail. I said it. Just put him in jail. Put him in jail right now. Bye. See ya.
He was on the most like C4's back. I'm pretty sure he was on the most recent C4 show. I'm almost
He's still
positive.
on C4.
Yeah. So he's great. A part of that main event. I mean, and everyone we're talking about too has been around forever. I mean, we're talking like decades on decades of all these guys mentioned.
So if you put like all four of these guys together in terms of how much experience, Saint-Jacques is the greenhorn with like 20 years experience.
Right.
Like everybody else in that match has over 20 years experience on the IWS side. There's probably like 100 years combined experience. And these are not like old guys. That's what's cool. Like these guys work their asses off, bro. Like you are going to see a spectacle. And then you get another 6 matches and a pre-show. I don't understand how you couldn't buy a ticket. I would buy a ticket.
That's awesome. And to speaking of the deathmatch stuff, I'm kind of more like the deathmatch guy on the show because I cover independent wrestling for Fightful, so I just see so much of it. But I started off as like I'm actually somebody in real life. I get squeamish at blood. Like I don't like seeing I don't like gore and that kind of stuff. Right. But I've gotten so used to like it's very messed up that I've gotten so used to just like gusset plates and people and like skewers and people. It's like so normal to me now. But I just kind of speaking to like this, yes, yes, kind of speaking to the death match, like the safety there and stuff. If I remember correctly, when we talked to Manny, I'm pretty sure he put over Nick Gage as like the safest, easiest person he's ever worked with. And people would think based on Nick Gage's history and the David Arquette stuff that it would be the opposite, but it isn't.
Absolutely. Nick Gage is he's such a legend and such a nice man. I'll give you a Nick Gage story, okay? Collective 2019. IWS does a show, and then also Interspecies Wrestling did a show. And I like Mike Rocci was the promoter. He was sick, so I was like on both shows, and I got to know I kind of took over. I got to know Nick Gage, and I kind of in the IWS we always give like this hype speech before we go out. Manny always gives this big ass speech, and it's a really cool speech, and I can't reveal it. The secrets of kayfabe must stay, but it's a really cool speech. So just like picture the most hype speech you can think of, and that's what it is. So he wasn't there, so I had to give the version of the hype up speech, and it went really well. And afterwards, Nick Gage takes me aside, and I've just met this man, okay? We're not long-term friends or anything, but it takes me aside and he's like, man, that was a fucking good speech. I'm pumped as fuck. Yeah, man. Gives me a hug, and I'm like, you are the coolest human being in the history of the world. I love you, Nick Gage. I love you. And every time I see him, he's the sweetest guy. Honestly, man, like it's weird how the deathmatch guys are all such sweeties. You know, Matt Tremont. Those are he's so cute. He's such a sweetheart. We love these men. Like, Sexy Eddie is one of the nicest people you're ever gonna meet in your life. Like, all the deathmatch guys are so nice. That's weird. Wrestling is weird, man. Like, what the fuck?
They get it all out of their system in the ring. It's like, all right, I've hit people with light tubes and pizza cutters and fallen through tables and all this stuff. Now, like, it's all love.
And Eddie does it naked, so like he checks all the boxes, like all the degeneracy possible. He like can just do in wrestling and like get it out of his system. It's great.
I guess that's it. I guess that's really what it is. It's like some kind of like emotional release that comes along. There's like a psychological study to be done by smarter people than me at some point about how like deathmatch wrestling and being a complete cutie pie sweetie just go hand in hand. Like that Venn diagram is probably not a full circle because it's wrestling. Like there's obviously going to be some terrible people, but pretty close. Like a snowman kind of thing. That would work.
Talk to us a little bit more about how the documentary came about. You mentioned they approached you, so they just came to you with this idea of like, hey, we've been following this. We think this would be cool. But how did that all come together?
Straight up, here is the story. They shared one of our clips on their Instagram. And they have like 1.6 million followers, 1.2 million. Like they got a lot of followers. I'm bad at numbers, so I don't remember the exact number, but like they got a good following, right? Like we'd already heard about them and everything. And they shared one of our clips. I don't remember which one it is, but it was a deathmatch clip. I think it was the clip that's on it, like it's pinned on our Instagram of Effie and Manny and the Skewers or something like that. Anyway, it's a deathmatch spot. And Jen Iron shared it. And Manny saw that they shared it, so he sent a DM and was like, hey, thank you very much for using our content. If you'd ever like more content, we'd offer you more, being cool. The guy apparently was an IWS fan and already knew about IWS and had been to a show from what I understand. We got in touch and then like soon they were telling us they'd been following us for a while. And this is like the production studio, who are all such nice guys. Like, I can't even tell you how pleasant this experience has been, dealing with these like big shot producers. So nice, amazing. But yeah, we had a call, like that was like the Friday, and then the Monday I went to Manny's store and we had a call with them, with shooting the shit, like figuring out if there's something there. Within like a few days, like we're like, okay, yes, we're taking this project, let's go. There's 25 years of history, it's super interesting, and they're so enthusiastic about it, which to me is very, I guess rewarding is the right word, because when you're around yourself all the time, you kind of like get down on yourself. You don't really think your accomplishments are as important as they are, that kind of stuff. Like insecurity, like I think we all have insecurities in general, but the way that they were talking about us just like gassed me up so hardcore. And it's been such a great experience. And like, I in Montreal and like Quebec, like in my hometown, I feel like sometimes like familiarity breeds contempt. You know what I mean? Like maybe we're not as noticed as we are if we go elsewhere. Like, because when I go to the States or when I go to Europe or anything like this, like people know IWS, and people tell me like we grew up watching IWS, which is pretty crazy for an independent wrestling company when you think about it. So like with 25 years of footage there, like you said, some colorful characters and stuff like that, and some like interviews and filming day of the show stuff. Like I think the 25th anniversary show was like the ideal point to start a documentary like this. So we made it happen within like a couple of weeks. Like this was like bam, 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 done. Here are the lawyers, get a contract, go, boom, boom, boom. And it's awesome. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal. And I'm so excited that like we'll have, the Netflix logo on the door. Like you're being filmed. If it could be on this, like that's really cool stuff, man. And like that's going to be a really cool experience for me. And I think it's going to be a really cool experience for the fans who show up as well. I think we're really going to have something special, not just in the live atmosphere, because nothing is like the IWS live atmosphere. It's not a wrestling show, man. It is a party. Like it is a party there. You want to be at it's like a rock show, but also like captured on film. There's going to be this unique moment, this unique energy, this unique capsule of time, and it's going to be captured. It's going to be immortalized. That's what we're going to do this Saturday. We're going to make history. we're going to become immortal. And it's going to start with this documentary, which is very cool.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm hyped. You got me pumped up right now, dude.
Let's go. Let's go,
Great
man.
fucking speech, Andrew.
Yeah, man. That was your Paul Heyman ECW to the troops speech. Dude, I was going to ask you. So, right.
It's a great speech, bro. Thank you, Nick Gage. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
No, MDK all fucking day. I'm in, man. Hey, listen, we'll throw it up. So I was going to ask you if the distribution was locked down or if it was too early on for that. So you're saying Netflix is, but possibly Netflix?
Yeah, like maybe net. Like we just have like it's a maybe Netflix, maybe Prime. We're not sure where it's going to go yet. There's no definite decisions, but like it might go to one of these platforms, right? So we're going to like put the logo on it, just in case, just so everybody knows, because there'll be releases, right? We want to be as truthful as we can with our audience. So that nobody's like blindsided. You know what I mean? Sure.
And well, I mean, in just obviously even in just recent memory, I mean, I think wrestling documentaries have always been very interesting and very like sought after by wrestling fans, especially before like the internet age like that we had, because like you got such like backstage stuff that nobody really got. But even current day, like really recently, OVW had the big show on Netflix, and it's done wonders for their business. Like, I don't know the back end or what that looks like, but what I do know is when they filmed that show, they were getting like literally like 70 to 75 pay-per-view buys on their Fight Plus. I mean, which isn't much. It's only like 75 buys total, right? But it's better than zero. But it's better than zero. My point though is that like now if you go to their YouTube channel when they run like their live shows before their pay-per-views, they have like 1,000 or so like viewers on YouTube watching, and then that's gonna, at least part of that's gonna, and like so I saw even just then it was like, an OVW has been around forever, IWS has been around forever, and it's like the exposure you get with that, and it's such a good way to form a bond with that fan base of them just getting invested in you guys as performers and as a company and everything. And so I think even just the recent success of something like that OVW doc is like really like a bright, positive thing that I think you have to look forward to.
We want it to be bright and positive as well. Like we really want to properly portray pro wrestling. And for a really long time, like Montreal has been known as a hotbed of pro wrestling, right? Like we know Montreal, but that's like years and years and years ago. Montreal is still a hotbed it's one of the best wrestling territories in the world. And the fact that we're going to get to show the world that gives me chills. I'm so excited because put our Montreal boys against anybody in the world. Please do it. Go, because they're going to out-wrestle them. I'm telling you, the amount of hidden gems that people are going to be able to get in on the ground floor. Oh, so good.
Okay, I want you to put people over because you're always fantastic about that. Every time you join us, you're always great about bigging up the hometown people. But before that, I do have a question. It's 25 years of IWS. Yeah. There's been a lot of names who have come through the scene. Do you know if they talk to any of them, if they have old footage of comments made by some of these people?
The documentary?
Yes, for the documentary.
Oh, we're providing them with our archives.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're giving them the archives. So like there have been, interviews and stuff that have been done that I'm sure there's some form of never released footage. I mean, I don't know because I personally don't know the footage, right? But like there's got to be some cool hidden gems in there for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not an editor guy. I couldn't tell you for sure. That's for sure. But like there's old footage that's going to be released and all the archival stuff that like maybe wasn't around because the internet wasn't around yet, because Bloodstream, IWS's weekly show, was like the first weekly streaming show online ever.
Manny told us the story of how that came together.
I was 14 years old when I started wrestling training in that studio. So yeah, that was a thing. And now I'm 35, but there's some stuff that just needs to be shared. It needs to be documented to like say the thing, and it's going to be so cool. And March 2nd is going to be so cool. Like if you can't be there live, you need to watch it online because this show is so good. I'm positive it's going to be amazing. I have like creative goosebumps with what we got ready for this show. Like, we have new people, but we also have legends. We're going to have surprises. There's going to be twists and turns, and there's ultimate death, which is said like that. Don't forget, you must say it like that as the main event. At the Olympia Theater, which is a beautiful, beautiful theater. Like, it's like a real old style theater. And then we're going to be filming. So everybody's going to be on their best behavior too. Everybody will look all pretty because they know that the camera's going to be on them, right? So, hey, if there's ever a time, now is the time. And also, like, our production crew, fantastic people. Our new director, Pasquale, and of course, JT producer, and then Mark Green. They've been working really hard, like night and day, to make sure that this looks top quality too. So you can expect a production value that is not often seen amongst independent wrestling companies. And I think that is one thing that IWS has going for it. Like, our stuff, our technical level, which I know nothing about and therefore I'm not taking credit for, is always like next level good. It's too good for like independent wrestling. It's not just like a couple of dudes with a camera. Manny is a technical wizard when it comes to this stuff. So it's going to look good. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be a party. Like I said, it's going to be a party. If you like to party, you should be at this show. And if you don't like parties, what are you doing? I'm so confused. Like, what do you do with your life?
This is the same building that y'all did the IWS versus GCW show.
That's right.
Yeah. This venue is awesome. This is like you're not.
There's the side panels, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's like the moving side panels, and then the big panel. If you saw IWS GCW, there was cold pyro in that. Like that's like not even real. Like, it's pyro that shoots out cold, so nobody can get burned. Like, that's what indie company has that?
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be the trussing and the lights and all that. There's going to be a sick setup. The lighting is going to be on. It's going to be on point. The camera work's going to be on point. The wrestlers are so hungry. They know that this is a shot to make it around the world. Like you said, the exposure at the OVW documentary. Well, every single person is going to have that kind of, like, a chance at that kind of exposure, right?
Yes.
And like, a lot of these people are grinders who have been working their asses off for years just to get a taste, just to get that one shot, right, to get noticed. So everybody is going to be competing for that one shot to get noticed. And that competition is going to breed fucking magic, dude.
And you guys are bringing in, I mean, you got the ultimate death.
Ultimate death.
See, it's fun, right? You had to say
it. But we've got GCW people coming in, like Effie, like Ali Catch, Joey Janela, Speedball Mike Bailey is on this show.
Broski Jimmy Lloyd.
Broski Jimmy.
Yeah. So it's not just, I mean, it's largely IWS guys, but like it's other names that American fans will know from the let's be honest, the top independent scene in America, GCW. Yeah. And so like that's a big opportunity, knowing like, hey, we're gonna get these eyes on us as well.
And like I've said this on Fightful before, I feel like Americans don't know that Canada exists a lot of the time, and they should. The Canadian scene is fantastic. But I feel like people are learning more about it now. There's like a lot more chatter about the Canadian indies. People are kind of waking up to it, but like, man, top level stuff. And if you disagree with me, I have 20 years of experience and you're wrong. So there you go. It's done. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I want to get some more of your thoughts on specifically on Speedball Mike Bailey, because he's a guy who like everyone knew was good for quite a while, but then he had like whatever was the visa issues or whatever where he couldn't come over to the States, and it was like his career wasn't really on pause, but it's like he would have his blow up would have happened sooner. But it's one of those things where like, what's it like seeing just like a guy from Canada finally breaking through? Because I feel like he's on everyone's list right now of like best wrestler of the year for the last like few years.
He has to be.
Yeah.
First of all, I love Speedball. Speedball and I go back years and years and years and years and years. Like, he's such a good dude, and he's so talented, and he works so hard. Everything that he's getting, he deserves tenfold. Like, and like you said, like if he would have had those extra 5 years, like the other independent wrestlers in the United States right now are lucky that they got a 5-year head start on him. Right? Yeah. Because he's that good. Like and that's not even like me bragging about my friend. That's just the truth. Like Speedball is that good. You cannot disagree with it. It's an objective fact. No matter where you're going, match of the night contender, Speedball, if not match of the year contender with anybody. We were blessed to have him. Like, I mean, it was very difficult for him, but I selfishly feel like we were blessed to have him with us for those 5 years. A lot of students in my IWS dojo got to benefit from learning from him and are better for it. Chris Dara, Nathan Yarimovic, Alex Mays, like these people are light years ahead of their experience level because they got to train with Bailey. If you have the chance to take a seminar with Speedball Mike Bailey and you are a wrestler or involved in the business in any way and you don't do it, you're stupid. You're stupid. He has such a great, unique mind for wrestling, and somehow his body does things that I can't think of ever being capable of. But he does them flawlessly, effortlessly. Best wrestler in the world. I'm going to stop gushing about him because I'm going to get a message and be like, Andrew, you're supposed to talk about yourself and not just put me over. But Andrew.
You gave me the headline of the everybody's lucky they got 5-year head start on Speedball.
Boom.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's true.
Especially because look at the landscape of wrestling. Like AEW hadn't really started yet. Like there's a lot of things that he would have probably been a part of had he been in the States for those 5 years. I mean,
PWG was big at that time, right?
Right.
PWG was the biggest indie. There was PWG and ROH, right?
Right.
And Speedball was winning Bola and wrestling against Kenny Omega, right? And winning.
Yes.
He was at the top of one of the top, if not the top indies at the time, because PWG was the ROH was the more corporate one, and PWG was more work ratey, funny, that kind of how it is now. And Speedball was at the top of that years and years and years ago before he even got it, and all he did was go to Japan and go to Europe and just get better and just keep training. Dude was Batman, he goes on his journey, his travel journey around the world. He can't go to the States, so he goes to all these other, he goes to Japan, he goes to the UK, and man, now it's his mind too. That's what it is. It's not just that he's physically talented; it's that he understands professional wrestling in a microscopic way that people don't take the time to break down. That's really what it is. His wrestling mind and psychology. We hear a lot about the term wrestling psychology, right? But for a lot of people, wrestling psychology is oh, if you work the arm, you should do an arm submission in your match. But for Speedball, it's more okay, if because Speedball always plans backwards, these kind of things, right? He just has these little tips and tricks for reducing the amount of memory points you need in a match, so that you can improvise more and work with the crowd more while still having a top quality match. It's just he's a walking cheat code of professional wrestling. That's what Speedball Mike Bailey is.
And by the way, I don't want to even speculate because him personally, he might I don't know where he would or wouldn't have wound up. Who knows? But I agree with everything. He's as talented as they come. And one other actually a tag team I wanted to get your thoughts on
Sure.
Because I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I've actually brought them up before, and I'd love to interview these guys at some point. But I think the most slept on tag team, honestly, maybe in the world, is Fresh Air. I think McCray Martin and Junior Benito, because if you know, because they're around, you see them all the time, but they still pop up in new. There you go.
I'm wearing McCray's shirt right now, bro.
The hot stepper. I don't know if they still use that music or not. I've heard them change it up a little bit, but the hot stepper music's my favorite. I love that theme song. But if you can speak on those guys, because I discovered them through IWS.
I'd love to.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
McCray Martin and I were C4 tag team champions as Hawk Stepper. He first started his wrestling training with me before moving on to the Keep. Super nice and talented dude. Very athletic, really talented. Junior Benito is this wonderful alien man who just doesn't seem like he exists in our planet, but our planet is just so much better for having him. That's the way to describe Junior Benito. He's a weirdo, but he's the best kind of weirdo, and he's such a nice guy, and he's a straight, and they're both so talented too. I would compare them to the way IWS was in 2000 and early 2000 and something, where they had the Smash Brothers and you had 2.0 and you had Kevin and you had Sami Zayn, you had those guys. and they were still being slept on. Like people weren't paying attention yet, but they eventually broke out and got really, really big. I think that's what we're seeing with Fresh Air. I think they have the potential to be a top tag team, not just in the province, not just in the country, in the world. And they've already done some tours of Europe. They're doing really well. They're hard workers. I know they're hungry. Their high flying ability is just mind blowing, and they're so in sync. And that's because they're really good friends for real. But they have this cohesiveness to them that I do find is lacking in a lot of tag teams. Like a lot of tag teams seem like they're working together, but they don't seem like they're in each other's head. You know what I mean? A little bit like that. Like there's some people that work really well together and maybe like are able to like predict what the other one will do. Like I'm working a heat and I'm about to throw on a move and like my partner's ready for the strike right there kind of thing. You know what I mean? But like their cohesiveness, like their bond as a tag team is very, very strong. We've seen their awesome matches that they've been having in the States too, against like Miracle Generation and those kind of guys. And if you follow Junior Benito, he's been doing some great stuff in C4 wrestling. And in Fresh Air, they unfortunately, due to McRae's injury, they relinquished the IWS Tag Team Championships. They had missed 3 dates in a row. It is what it is. No hate whatsoever. We just wanted some fighting champions. That's all. And then Junior has a chance at the IWS Canadian Championship because we're not going to take one belt away and not give him an opportunity at another one, right? But I think no matter what, they might, like once McRae is better, they're going to make their way back to the IWS Tag Team Championship scene. Like that's not even a question. If they're not gone by then, let's be honest, if they're not like signed to somewhere, right, because they're both young and talented and getting into great shape and charismatic, and you want to watch them, so they might get signed somewhere. I could see it happening.
And Junior is the C4 champion right now, isn't he? So I mean, yeah, super talented, both those guys for sure.
Yeah, man. I had a great time teaming with McRae as Hawk Stepper, trying to be cool with the youths. I would wear the bucket hat too and try to do the dancing. I was a cool teacher, you see. I'm a cool professor. It didn't work, but the crowd seemed to like it. So I guess it did work in the end.
Jensen, I didn't know if you had another name to throw at Shayne.
I mean, we can talk about a lot of these people. I mean,
let's shoot on people.
You want me to shoot on people? So,
I mean,
who have we not talked about that I'd be really interested? Well, I mean, if you can speak on Lufisto's coming in for the show, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to speak on Lufisto, a Hall of Famer coming in.
Yeah, Lufisto is a Hall of Famer. She's in the IWS like original badass woman. You know. Recently started a women's company, WWS, to be a sister company to the IWS. I think she's wonderful. I personally love Lufisto. I love working with Lufisto. And that's in and out of the ring. I think she's a fantastic person. Considered her my wrestling mom for a while. I think she was targeted on the internet for some things that got taken out of hand, but I think the internet is stupid. I think that there are a lot of people who just want to be negative for the sake of being negative. There are a lot of people who feel empty in their lives, and the only reason you really have for dragging somebody down is admitting that they're above you already. So I think she's going to have a badass match with Katrina Creed. Katrina Creed is an IWS Dojo graduate as well. Super talented, the Cobra, another person who a lot of people should be paying closer attention to. But man, the IWS women's division is on fire. And I proudly trained a good number of them myself. But like, it's gotten to the point where we have multiple women's matches per shows and like intergender stuff all the time. And that all started largely because of Lufisto. Most people don't know, or some people do, but like she went to war with the government in Ontario, which is the province next to Quebec. Went to war over the fact that like women weren't allowed to wrestle. Like a lot of women are able to wrestle in Eastern Canada because Lufisto fought the law and won. And if that doesn't make you a legend, I don't know what does. She's great.
Oh yeah. I got one last question. This is not wrestling related. This is my mother, she passed when I was younger, but she was from Montreal. And she would always brag about the bagels. She loved the bagels from Montreal. Can you elaborate on that? That was like the one thing I always remember her talking about Montreal.
Man, I don't know how they're made. Like, I'm not like, but my old tag team partner, Stu Corbus, he was a bagel maker by trade. Like, that was his whole job. He just made bagels. I've had New York bagels. Okay, I'm biased. I understand, but Montreal bagels smoke New York bagels. All right, let's say that's the controversial line that we're gonna get in trouble for. That's what it is. But no, Montreal cuisine is really, really high quality. It's really, really good. Like, we take food very, very seriously, and especially because it's a very like touristy city, and like European based, like whatever you want to call it. We take our food very, very seriously, and like a good bagel, very important, to the point where like my family members will ask me to bring them bagels when I travel. Like, they will ask me to bring Montreal bagels to Toronto or LA or wherever it is that I'm going. Like, they're that good. I don't know what they use. Maybe crack. I don't know.
they enrich them with
sprinkle a little crack on it. I don't know. But like, whatever it is, they are delicious and dangerous, especially if you're trying to watch your carbs.
Awesome.
Shayne, something we ask every single guest here on the show: the coolest thing in your room.
Currently?
Yeah, if you can show us, even better.
Oh yeah, I can show you. Hang on. Oh no, shit! It's at the dojo. Okay, I was gonna show you. Hang on. I can find something.
You're good.
Okay. I got lots of cool shit here, man. Like, here. This is on my wall. I don't know if you can see it. Here. It's a framed copy of WrestleMania 2017 #1. It's the first wrestling comic book I had published. My name is there, I guess you can see. Stott, that's my real name. Can you see it?
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. My friend Andy, Bobby Animal Anger, and I, we did a 10-pager on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And like, it was kind of like stylized as them when they were kids. I also have a friend one where we did 10 pages on Kane and the Undertaker for the official Boom WWE comic book. And it's them as children in the burning building leading to the fire being set. So I got to write that, which was very cool. And then apparently like WWE gave it out at their shareholders meeting as a gift. Like, a buddy of mine who's a shareholder like texted me and was like, yo, they're giving out your book as a gift. And I was, that's really cool. So there's that.
Real quick, Shayne, that's fascinating. Hey, you mentioned Bob Anger. We hadn't put him over at all. If you want to go ahead and do that for a second.
Hold on.
Okay.
Before you put him over, he's supposed to be on In the Weeds tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, we're recording this on Tuesday. This interview will air on Thursday, but Bob will be on In the Weeds. By the time everybody sees this, he'll already be on In the Weeds on Wednesday. Can you actually like bury him, and then we can, talk shit to him tomorrow?
That interview that he did yesterday was the shits, brother. All right, let me tell you, I thought I trained him better than that. The fact is that Bob Anger, I guess, just doesn't have it tomorrow yet. I can't, dude. No, I can't.
I realize I made that very confusing.
And there's some kind of time travel shenanigans.
Yes.
It's a Hulk Hogan type scenario where you actually could do this in the same day somehow.
Right. Like, yeah. Like wearing two watches at the same time. No, he's great, man. Like a really talented artist, really talented wrestler. Like one of the most positive guys I've ever met, which is awesome to be around. Like I like working with people that I like working with. You know what I mean? Good dude. He's gonna be like, part of the documentary thing that we're gonna do is probably like go to Lethal Comics, which is the studio place that we work at, and go over a few other images and stuff. So I've written a book. So here's a scoop for you. I've written a book called Shayne Hawke Storyteller: The Illustrated Guide to Professional Wrestling Match Structure. And what it's going to be is it's going to be a comic book version of like the formula of a pro wrestling match. So it'll be like teaching you how a pro wrestling match is structured, but in comic book form. Kind of like Marvel used to do this thing, how to read comic books the Marvel way. And like that was a book that they would put out. But this is going to be a graphic novel illustrated book that is going to be used kind of like as an educational guide, but mostly as like just knowledge in general of how to structure and plan a wrestling match from A to Z based on classic structure, essentially. and we're going to do it in graphic novel form, which is going to be dope. And then there'll be like little like snippets in it, like how to cut a promo, how to build a promo, where do we go with that. All sorts of little tips and tricks for pro wrestling, but all, like I said, all illustrated in comic book form. And we're going to be kickstarting that pretty soon. The script is done. It's in art production. The cover is done. I'm just honestly waiting for this show to be over before really like jumping into that. Because all my energy is here right now on this show on March 2nd. But this comic book that I've got coming out, I'm super stoked about. And
that
yeah,
sounds
like I said,
awesome.
Thank you. I think it's going to be super fun for wrestling fans and non-fans alike. And like, look, like there's no one way to do professional wrestling. Wrestling is subjective, in my opinion, right? Like it's an art form. If you don't like the action, you can do comedy. If you don't like comedy, there's drama, these kind of things. But at the same time, like narrative fiction is still written with a certain structure, like either Freytag's Pyramid or like Joseph Campbell's Hero Monomyth. And like every kind of like big action movie follows basically the same structure, right? So like Star Wars kind of follows the same structure as like Lord of the Rings, as like all the Marvel movies, basically, like they all follow the same kind of narrative structure to really break it down to like bits and pieces like that. And I want to do that with pro wrestling. So I want to break down what I call devices of pro wrestling. And that way, like you can, it's a formula. The metaphor that I use is like this. I'm going to give you a coloring book that teaches you wrestling. Whether you choose to color inside the lines is cool. Whether you want to color outside the lines and be creative, also cool. But the coloring book will be better for you than a blank page. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Choose your own adventure.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Like that. That is, you said you were kickstarting, and I don't know if you literally mean you're going to do a Kickstarter for it, or you're not
going to do a Kickstarter.
I'll absolutely be. I'll be a part of that. You. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. DM me the link, and I'll dude. That's actually. I'm not joking. That's fascinating. Like that. I think that wrestlers and fans are gonna really.
Right.
That's a totally different approach to like insider stuff.
That's it, and it's like. I want it to be like an educational guide. You know what I mean? Like it's there to inform. It's not there to like as a Bible. It's not there as like you have to do it this way. Because I'm sure that one of like the old heads who just says negative stuff for engagement will come after me. Like Disco Inferno or somebody will like be really upset that I did this and I ruined the business that has. It's so weird how the business keeps dying and yet never goes anywhere and right it just keeps getting better and better. But anyway. Someone's going to. I'm excited for it. But like, I really feel like it'll be a useful tool for professional wrestling students, and at the same time, like maybe give fans a deeper appreciation for the art form, right? Like instead of just showing people like, hey, this is a good match, figure it out yourself. Like, why is it a good match? Like, what makes the breakdown so good about it? Like, what's the shine? What's the comeback? What are all these little moving pieces that we use with terminology, these kind of things? And I feel like it'll give people a deeper understanding and therefore a deeper emotional connection to their favorite matches. So I think it'll like increase your love of what you already love and give you a deeper appreciation for the art form that wrestlers perform. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's genius. It really is. It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's written. It's like the cover, like I said, is ready, which we're going to be probably premiering in the movie, which is kind of cool. And then just a matter of getting it done. I've seen some sample pages recently. Andy's art is so cool. We've got another guy named Mo working on it with us. He's super talented. It's like a distilled version of what I teach in the IWS Pro Dojo. And our graduates speak for ourselves at this point. Like my students have worked for WWE, AEW, and like literally across the world and all across Canada. They need a lot more attention too. I'm sure they will in a few years, but like in such a short amount of time, it's come so far. And honestly, a lot of this is from discussions I've had with Mike Bailey and other wrestling minds as well, of course. And this is my take on things, right? And like this was what worked for me, not for everybody else. What works for you in wrestling could be completely different. But I think it's going to be a fun take and it's going to be a fun experiment. And I think the art is going to be really cool. So why not? And then, so yeah, we're going to kickstart it eventually. I'm going to put that online when it comes online.
Are you going to include like deathmatch stuff in that as well?
Not yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm starting with just a singles match. And then if this does well, then maybe we do a tag match. Maybe we do trios. Maybe we do death matches. Maybe we do scrambles. All of these matches have their own structures. They all have their own like skeletons that we can put together, right?
Yeah.
And once we build a skeleton of our match, then we can add our own meat and potatoes, our individual character-based stuff, right? So learning pro wrestling match structure actually allows a performer to better connect with their audience. If you already know what, and like when I learned, it was all improv, right? But if you knew improv really well, like for example, Steamboat and Flair wrestled each other so many times that they could just like call shit on the fly, right? Like it was easy for them. They already knew the structure of their match, and that gave them more time to interact with the fans. Like there was more improvisation being done because they knew what they were doing. And one thing about pro wrestling that I always say is that it's one of the last bastions of true Shakespearean theater, where you have a live audience on all four sides of you at all times, and they have influence on the story. You know, if you go to like, I've made this analogy before, but if you go to the theaters and you go watch like, you know, the Avengers in the theaters, and you yell to Captain America, like, hey, don't throw your shield, he's going to catch it. Like Captain America still throws his shield, right? But in pro wrestling, if you yell like, hey, take a superplex, presumably the people are going to do that for you, right? So it's one of the only art forms where the audience and the creators come together to create the narrative at the same time. Like it's synergistic between, it's this piece of art that can only be formed by the watcher and the receiver, which is super cool and super unique, and just like is what makes wrestling so special and what keeps it surviving through all this time. Because how long has wrestling been around? I mean, it keeps dying every time. The Young Bucks have killed it at least like 100 times.
A lot of rebirths.
So,
but that's why I think wrestling. That's why I think wrestling fans get so attached and like sometimes to a toxic level of like, you know, the tribalism or whatever. But like that's a big part of it, because they feel like they do have an influence. Like if they cheer hard enough or boo hard enough, like their favorites will have opportunities. Their least favorites won't be on the show. Like I mean,
look at all the movements, like the Cesaro section and like. The we want, like they have, like, look what happened with The Rock recently.
Yeah, I'm a Cody crybaby, dude, big time.
Great. You know what? I think Cody's great. I think The Rock is great too. I think they really made lemonade out of lemons with this business. Like this is good business that they're doing, but like the fans literally changed the end of WrestleMania.
Yeah,
you can't change a bigger piece of wrestling than that, but the fans did it. That's amazing. Right? Like that's like they made that happen. So, you know, like if a wrestler is not wrestling in service of the crowd, they're in the wrong sport. Straight up. If you're doing this for yourself and not for the audience, you're in the wrong business. Straight up. Because look how powerful that can be. Just that emotional connection. The Rock is a billionaire, and they made him change his mind. He has fucking money. What's he gonna like? If The Rock tomorrow was like, you know what? No, I actually want to win the title. Like people are gonna complain online, but you know what? Like they're still gonna keep watching. The man's still gonna be a billionaire. But like, no, we're gonna listen now, and that's I try to do that with IWS as much as possible too. Is just listen, and it's like I watch the shows live, like I'm a fan. I listen to the fans. I want to hear how they're reacting. I read the comments. I care about their opinion, which is terrible for my mental health, but I do. And that's what makes pro wrestling special, man. It's like the brain chemistry gets rewired based on what you're seeing in front of you. And like that might sound like crazy stoner conspiracy talk, but it's true about dopamine and serotonin and how we like to see movement and things. These are scientific principles, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling is so special because of that. And March 2nd is going to be a celebration of how special pro wrestling can be. And from the innovation of so many things, like a weekly TV show, stuff like that, weekly web show, right? To the highest caliber of deathmatch, where it's like can get even non-deathmatch people to watch it. There will be high flying. There will be ground wrestling. There will be amazing strikers. There will be world-class talent. Effie, Speedball, Janela, Allie, We've also, like, we got Marcus Mathers on the card too. We've got the best of Canada against the best of the United States. And like, if you have a Triller subscription, you can just put it on and watch one of the most entertaining shows you're going to see this year, because other companies can coast. They can afford coasting. There are companies that, like, they can have a bad one, right? Like, you can have a bad pay-per-view. You can have a great Balls of Fire, right? And it's not going to affect your bottom line. For us, everything is on the line for this show. 25 years. My entire adult life, I've spent more time in the IWS while living than not. This is my entire life. This is my shot. And I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've been doing it damn well. And I'm not the only one who's been doing it damn well, because guys like Sexy Eddie have been grinding for years. Guys like the Green Phantom, grinding for years. Guys like Peace Be Manny, giving their lives, their souls, everything they can to this. This is the shot. And you better believe we're going to take it.
I hope you're giving the speech on March 2nd. Like,
I'm improving this. I'm straight.
I hope you're back there. I hope you're giving the speech to everybody before the show. And
I'm definitely going to give a speech. I will absolutely give a speech.
I hope you do.
I'll probably write something as well, so I'm not just.
No, just go out there. Just on the
this is working on me, man. Like,
yeah, I can tell Jensen. Jensen is like, he's ready to go through the wall right now.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And I will go through the wall with you. And I'll go through the wall. I'll go through it first, because I'm not going to ask you to do something that I wouldn't do myself. That's crazy talk, right? But man, it's real passion and real emotion, man. It really, really is. Like, I'm just speaking from the heart. I'm just speaking my truth. I'm not cutting a promo on you right now. I didn't write anything down. There's nothing written on my forearms. I got nothing. This is just Andrew being real.
It comes through every single time I've talked to you. Every time you've been kind enough to join us on any of the shows. I remember the first show we did. I either had to leave. I think I left in the middle of it. Yeah. The first interview, yes, I had to go. I had to go be a superhero because my wife was having car trouble.
Family is important, man. Family is important.
I had to go save her. But then you, again, gracious enough to come back, gracious enough with your time tonight. One last hard sell for everything, whether they want to follow you. And of course, the show this weekend, March 2nd, it's on Fight TV, Triller TV. It's IWS 25th anniversary show, unsanctioned.
That's right. So first of all, at Superstar Hawke, Hawke is any at the end. You can kind of see it on the screen right now. See how Hawke is. So make sure you follow me on every single platform, literally Instagram, Twitter. I just got TikTok. I'm learning TikTok. I'm old. I'm not good at it, but I'm trying. My girlfriend tells me I'm cringe, which apparently is bad, but also sometimes good. I do think that one thing that makes me uniquely positioned in the wrestling world right now is that I am this bridge between the old school of 20 years ago and the younger generation that's coming up now, right? Because I have 20 years experience, but I'm only 35 years old. So I'm able to communicate between these two generations in a way that I feel like would not have been possible had I not been there, right? And my thing is that I get the best out of people. I just want people to do well, because you know what, man? When people are doing well around me, when people are happy around me, that makes me happier. I win. It's selfish. I want to entertain people. I want them to be happy, because then those people are nice to me and my life gets better. The hard sell that I'm going to give you, honestly, is that I've collected 20 years of experience around the entire world, wrestling and working with all of the top names for all of the top companies, and I am still just a dude named Andrew. But I want to be more than a dude named Andrew. I want to make it because my friends have all made it. My peers have all gone on to become, the AEWs and the WWEs, and guys like Manny and I, guys like Eddie and I, guys like Green Phantom and I, guys like Mathieu St. Jacques and I, we have been chomping at the bit for a chance to show the world that we belong at that top level. I genuinely believe in my heart that we're going to get there on March 2nd. I think this show will be special. And you can look at me in my eyes and know that I am telling the truth. Hand to God, we are going to do whatever it takes to make our mark on the industry. And the reason we're going to do it is because we never thought we would get here in the first place. We started this for fun with our friends, just to enjoy ourselves and maybe give people a couple of smiles, a couple of laughs. Now it's become a movement. You need to get on board now, because this is the next big thing. And you want to be able to say you were here first, because this will explode. Because I've given 20 years of my life to it, and it has to. How's that? Hard sell?
Let's fucking go.
Amazing. I mean, I can't. There's nothing I can add to that. Are you kidding me? That's the best.
Let's
sell
go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you,
I appreciate
Shayne.
you guys having me, man. Really do.
Thank you for doing this again, guys. It is IWS unFN sanctioned. It is March 2nd. It is on Triller TV, Fight TV. You can order that. If you cannot make it live, if you make it live, go out there, head out there. But you can watch it online. Stay tuned for more information about the documentary. As more information about that gets released, we will continue to post about it. I'm sure we'll continue to have guys like Shayne, whether it's on this show, whether it's on In the Weeds, promoting everything. Guys, we appreciate it. All the links are below to support Shayne, to support IWS. Guys, we'll be right back here on the Spotlight.